to start with my bus pre-trip inspection. I'm going to start with my clearance lights. The lenses are all amber in color. They're not cracked, they're not broken, and they're mounted to your proper screws. In the front, I have my three-way lights. The lenses as well are not cracked, they're not broken, they're mounted to secure proper screws, and they're working properly. They consist of my left signal, my right signal, my high, my low beams, and my emergency flashers. This is my front bumper. It's not cracked, it's not broken, it has no illegal welds, no illegal holes, and it's mounted secure with proper nuts and bolts. My front license plate, it's not cracked, it's not bent, it's not broken, and it's mounted and secure with proper nuts and bolts and permanent tags. Underneath is the front axle. It's not cracked, it's not broken, it's mounted secure with proper nuts and bolts, and it has no illegal welds. Underneath my bus, there are no hanging wires, no hanging hoses, and no leaks of any kind. And my bus is not tilting in any way. That means it's in good working order and it has no broken leaf springs. My air cleaner, it's not cracked, it's not broken, it's not bent. It's mounted secure proper nuts and bolts. It's in good working condition. On the side we have a filter. The filter's not cracked, it's not bent, it's not broken. It's nice and clean and it's also working properly. Right here I have my radiator reservoir. It's not cracked, it's not bent, it's not broken. It has no leaks of any kind. It's mounted secure with proper nuts and bolts. It has a good cap, a good rubber seal. It's in the closed position. It's at the proper level. The hoses running from it, they're not ripped, they're not torn, they're not cut, they have no leaks, and they're mounted secure with proper clamps. Over here is the radiator, and the radiator's not cracked, it's not bent, it's not broken. It has no illegal welds, no leaks, mounted secure with proper nuts and bolts. The hoses that are running from the radiator are not ripped, torn, or cut, and they have no leaks of any kind. Mounted secure with proper clamps. This is my alternator. The alternator is not cracked, bent, or broken. It has no illegal welds. It's mounted secure with proper nuts and bolts. It has no bearing wires, no illegal black tape, and it's also in good working condition. Underneath is the water pump. It's not cracked, it's not bent, it's not broken. It has no illegal welds, it has no leaks of any kind. The hoses running from it, they're not ripped, they're not torn, they're not cut, and they have no leaks of any kind as well. The alternator and the water pump are belt driven. The belt's not ripped, it's not torn, it's not cut. It has 3/4 of proper tension and is also in good working condition. Right here is my oil dipstick. It's not cracked, it's not bent, it's not broken. It has no leaks of any kind. It's at the proper level. It's also in good working condition. Over here I have my turbo and my exhaust, and they're not cracked, they're not bent, they're not broken, they have no illegal welds, and they're mounted secure with proper nuts and bolts. Right here is the right side of my frame. It's not cracked, it's not bent, it's not broken, it has no illegal welds, no illegal holes, and it's mounted secure with proper nuts and bolts. This is my washer fluid reservoir. The washer fluid reservoir is not cracked, it's not bent, it's not broken, it has no visible leaks of any kind. It has a good cap, good rubber seal, it's at the proper level, and the hoses running from it, they're not ripped, they're not torn, they're not cut, with no leaks of any kind. This is my air compressor. The air compressor is not cracked, it's not bent, it's not broken. It has no illegal welds. It has no air leaks of any kind. It's mounted secure with proper nuts and bolts. The hoses running from it are not ripped, they're not torn, they're not cut. They have also no air leaks of any kind. It is also belt driven. It's not ripped. The belt's not ripped, torn, or cut. It has 3/4 of proper tension and it's also in good working condition. This is the governor. The governor is not cracked, bent, or broken. It has no illegal welds. It has no air leaks of any kind. It's mounted secure with proper nuts and bolts. The hoses running from it, they're not ripped, they're not torn, they're not cut, and they have no air leaks of any kind. Underneath is the power steering pump. And the power steering pump's not cracked, it's not bent, it's not broken. It has no illegal welds, it has no leaks. The hoses running from it, they're not ripped, they're not torn, they're not cut, with also no leaks of any kind. My power steering pump and my air compressor are gear driven. Right here is the power steering reservoir. It's not cracked, it's not bent, it's not broken. It has no leaks. It has a good cap with a good rubber seal. It's in the closed position. It's at the proper level, and it's a good working order. The hoses running from it, they're not ripped, they're not torn, they're not cut. They have no leaks, and they're mounted secure with proper clamps. This is my transmission dipstick. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. It has no illegal welds. It has no leaks of any kind. It's in the closed position. It's at the proper level, and it's also in good working order. This is my steering column. My steering column's not cracked, bent, or broken. It has no illegal welds, mounts secure proper nuts and bolts, and also has been properly greased. This is my gearbox. The gearbox is not cracked, bent, or broken. It has no illegal welds. It has no leaks of any kind, mounts secure proper nuts and bolts. The hoses running from it, they're not ripped, they're not torn, they're not cut. They have no leaks, and they're mounted secure proper clamps. And the frame, it's not cracked, bent, or broken. No illegal welds, no illegal holes, mounted secure proper nuts and bolts. My shock absorber, it's not cracked, bent, or broken. It has no illegal welds, it has no leaks, and it's mounted secure proper nuts and bolts. This is my my hangers, my leaf springs, my U-bolts, and my spacers. And they're not cracked, bent, or broken. They have no illegal welds, no leaf spring missing, and they're mounted secure proper nuts and bolts. This is my pitman arm, my drag link, my steer arm, and my tie rod. And they're not cracked, bent, or broken. They have no illegal welds, and they're mounted secure proper crown nuts and cotter keys. This is my brake chamber. The brake chamber is not cracked, bent, or broken. It has no illegal welds, mounted secure proper nuts and bolts with no air leaks. And the hoses running from it, they're not ripped, torn, or cut, and they have no air leaks of any kind. This is my push rod and my slack adjuster, and they're not cracked, bent, or broken. They have no illegal welds. They're mounted secure proper nuts and bolts, and they have 1/2 inch to 1 inch of free play movement. Inside is my brake drum, and the drum's not cracked, bent, or broken. No illegal welds, no grease, no oil, no deep grooves. And the brake shoe, it's not cracked, bent, or broken. No illegal welds, no grease, no oil, and have 1/4 thickness. These are my steer tires. The inside and the outside, they're not ripped, torn, or cut. They have no air bubbles of any kind. Tire tread is 430 seconds. These tires cannot be recapped. The air pressure is 100 to 110 psi. We checked that with an air gauge in the valve stem. And the valve stem's not cracked, bent, or broken. No illegal welds, no air leaks. Good capped with rubber seal, working properly. My rim, it's not cracked, bent, or broken. No illegal welds, no grease, no oil, no rust of any kind. It has all its lug nuts in place. None of them are missing with no illegal welds. The hub, it's not cracked or broken. It has no illegal welds, no leaks of any kind. It also has lug nuts. None of them are missing. The hub oil is at the proper level with no leaks. My mud flaps, they're not ripped, they're not torn, they're not cut. They're at least 6 inches off the ground, and they're mounted secure proper nuts and bolts. My mirrors, they're not cracked or broken. They have no illegal stickers. They're mounted secure proper nuts and bolts, and they're adjusted for the driver. My battery box is not cracked or broken. It has no illegal welds, and it's mounted secure proper nuts and bolts. Inside are the actual batteries. The batteries are not cracked, they're not broken. They're mounted secure proper nuts and bolts. The post and the cables have no corrosion, and the battery fluid is at the proper level, and they're also in good working condition. These are my luggage compartments. They're not cracked or broken. They have no illegal welds, and they're mounted secure proper nuts and bolts. This is the left side of my bus. It has no damage of any kind, and it has a good working door. The door is not cracked, it's not broken. It has no illegal welds. It's in a closed position. And all of my side clearance lights and marker lights are visible. They're not cracked, they're not broken, and they're in good working condition. Over here I have my drive shaft.